Good morning, one. Good morning, all. Come into the warm fires of VHS. They have been burning just for you. It's Golden VCR. Hey everybody, and welcome to Countdown to Alex getting a haircut. It's gonna be a week yet. I thought we would start out today by vibing with Donna for just a little bit, because I have another OneStroke tape. This time it's the OneStroke home study course. I know Donna gets a little samey. We don't have to watch all of Donna. Is that mold? Is that mold? No, okay. It looks like mold on that image, but it's just a trick of the light. So, this is the home study course. This is how Leonardo da Vinci became an artist, was with a 60-minute OneStroke home study tape from Donna Dewberry. So let's just get this in the VCR and get going. Let's get ready to welcome Donna back into our hearts. We've seen a couple of these tapes. We got, I think, basic flowers.
Plaid Enterprises Incorporated, bringing quality paints, mediums, stencils, and other tools to painters worldwide.
Top quality paints. Oh yeah, this song. How long is this song? Perhaps it's worth recording just because I like it.
Plaid Enterprises Incorporated, bringing quality paints, mediums, stencils, and other tools to painters worldwide.
Birdhouses and wildflowers and sunflowers, oh my.
Hi, I'm Donna Dewberry.
That was way too short.
I'm so excited that you want to learn how to paint OneStroke with me. I have this home study course just for you, and it's something I wish I had when I was at home raising my 7 children. I sit at my dining room table and wanted to paint so
my grandma
bad,
had 7 children.
and it took me a lot of years to be able to do that.
I didn't know they were still doing that, though.
I always want to bring you out there what I wish that I had at home.
Let me do some research.
And it makes it so
Donna
much easier and
Dewberry,
comfortable at
Catholic?
home, and that's what I'm excited about today. There's a lot of reasons that I want to bring
she's
this
a Mormon.
to you. There's things that out there that you want to do, like you maybe want to make money during painting, but I wanted a pretty house. And so that's where I started, and then I developed it into something I could take to the shows and sell at craft fairs and give as gifts to my children's school teachers. So to get started, I have a friend I want you to meet, and her name is Maribel Delgado. Maribel's going to act as our student today.
Hi.
Hey, we're going to have fun.
We sure are.
And we're going to start off with doing some strokes.
The arm touching.
And then Maribel's going to come back, and we're going to see what maybe we need to work on. And there might be things you need to work on at home, too.
I love the awkward arm touching.
The first lesson we're going to paint today is a birdhouse with wildflowers. And we're going to learn lots of little strokes, so you're going to have a great time with this. And by the time you get through with this first lesson, you're going to think, I can really paint. Now, what we're going to do is talk about the brushes, because the brushes are very important. And what we're using are flat brushes. And we take these flat brushes and we have two sizes. We have a number 12 and we have a 3/4 inch. All right, a bigger one and a small one. So you're going to I'm going to tell you what to use, but as you're painting, you're going to learn to use the one that's most comfortable for you. Okay?
OneStroke.
Depending on the size of the project you're
By the end of this tape, you'll be able to do this whole thing in one
wet
stroke.
These brushes in water first, because they have stiffening in them when you first get them.
You have to load a
Then
very
we're gonna lay it on a
precise
paper
sequence
towel
of paint colors
and
onto
let
your
the
brush.
water run out.
and
So
then you
they're
just do it.
dampened when we start. And then we double load this brush to begin with, or sometimes just single load it. But as we go, I want you to watch how I'm loading this brush. The important thing about my brushes is that as I'm wiggling the brush, it will spring up and give you a nice crisp spring. See that? And this right here is the chisel edge of the brush. So when I say now you're going to start and end on your chisel, it's this part of the brush. And for you newbies out there, this is the ferrule, okay? Now, I have a script liner. Let me show you this brush. It's got just a few little bristles, but they're long, and we're going to do curly cues. And this is like the only brush I let you use water in, pretty much. And the key is we're going to stay up on the tip of that brush. Now, we have a scruffy brush. This is my beginner's favorite brush.
Oh,
what
she
happens
loves
with
the
this
scruffy
Is
brush.
that we paint with this brush totally dry.
Good morning.
Okay? And it comes flat. It's all pinched and flat. So
We're
what we
spending
do
a
is
little
we
bit of
put it
time
in
with
our
Donna
hand, and
to start out our
take
stream today.
and-
This is a 60-minute
We're
tape.
wrecking the brush, but we're really not. We're fluffing it. Then we take our fingernails and we pull out and make a nice pretty oval, okay? So see that? I want a nice pretty oval in there.
But we don't
And
have to watch
You
the whole
might
thing.
lose a few hairs. See that? A few hairs at the beginning, that's okay. You're not going to lose all your hairs, I promise you. All right, now, to
Ooh,
start
you gotta
off,
pounce.
We're going to double load many times through our lessons. And I put a double loader in here, and it's a little cute little paper that you might see in there. It has instructions, make it really easy, but all we're doing is we're peeling off the center. Then we close this
This is
together.
Donna's patented
all
double
right?
loader.
Fold it like, pinch the edge. Then we're going to peel off the inside, peel off the other side, and we're going to use foam plates for our palette. All right, and then we're going to touch and we're going to lay it down, and we're going to put paint on both sides of this. And when we're doing that, we're going to put white here on this side, and we're going to put, say we're going to put a berry wine on the other side. Okay, now what we do is we take our flat brush, and I'm just going to show you the double load procedure. We're going to take this brush and we're going to put it in between these two, and we go back and forth. Now double load means we're going to put color on both sides. You see that? Okay, picking up the brush, putting it back and forth. Now we should put the paint a little bit closer than I did. But all you have to do now is come over here, and it is double loaded. Well, I want you to work it in like this, and then we're ready to go.
I like how we somehow
All
got like
now,
a laser
if we
disc
don't
in
have our
there.
double loader, that's just so you can see that's definitely one side and one on the other. If you don't have that, we're going to dip gently, work our brush in. Now this is a key. You have to push very hard to work it in. Dip, dip. See, I'm dipping quite a bit at the beginning. Push very hard. Okay, see that? Hard. Down to
You
the
can
ferrule.
paint the Polish flag in
Now,
one stroke.
You do that about 2 to 3 times. Now, this is what I want you to realize, that the first time you're really hard, after that you slightly lessen the pressure as you pick up. Now this is loading the brush. Now your brush is totally loaded when it's 2/3 up the bristles or more. So that's the key. There's 3 things I want you to learn. I want you to learn how to load the brush. I want you to learn that the handle of the brush is always straight up and down. See this handle straight up and down? And then I want you to put pressure. Now watch this. Pressure means that you push down. Let's come really close right here so you can see this. We're pushing straight down. Now if you stand up here and you just flounder around, that's going to cause you to make not very good strokes, okay? I want you to come and push down and stay down, and then you're making your strokes, all right? That's double loading. And now let's start painting, okay? We're going to put this down, and I want you to see how I would load my palette. I'm going to put paint around the outer edge, all right? And then I'm going to put floating medium, which you're going to really love. Floating medium is the fluff that's inside paint with no pigment, no color in it. And so I just put a little bit in our hole here so that we're ready. And we only use it if it's really dry. Now, if you use this too much, it will be like you did use water. And water is going to make your painting very muddy, and we don't want that. We're using thick, creamy, beautiful paint. This is folk art paint. You're going to love it. All right, now let me show you what we're going to do to start with. We're going to do a birdhouse, and I want to show you, the thing that I always use first is my teaching guide. I show you how to stroke on the teaching guide. I want you to load your brush, which I'm going to do real quick. Let's load it here, and then
Wait, we're painting a birdhouse, but is it going to be in the shape of a bear?
I'm gonna take, and let's wash this out. I started with the
Or a
wrong
frog.
color. See, even I make mistakes.
Or a wolf
Let's
or a
take this out of
raccoon?
here. All right, we're going to just load with white. So this is how we're going to do the white. We're going to pull both sides of the white, and this isn't double loading. See, I was showing you double loading, which is almost all I ever do. But occasionally, like when I'm doing this birdhouse, I'm going to put white on both sides. Now, I want to side stroke the brown so that I have a little bit of shading, and you very gently go one side of the brown to pick up paint. Only one side, okay? Now, let me show you what I have. When we're working on this teaching guide, we're going to take the guide, and what we're going to do is stroke straight down the birdhouse. Right here. On this side, we stroke down. All right? We wipe it off, and we stroke again. Okay? So it's just that easy. You just take your paper towel or your one-stroke wipes, and you're going to wipe it off and start over. Now, what we do is we practice on both sides of your guide. It's laminated, so it's really easy, and every little stroke is like my stroke at home with you, an actual size stroke, so with the same size brushes you're using, so it makes it very simple. So what we do is we just come onto this sheet and load it, whatever color we say to load, and work on that. And so that, to me, I thought that was a great help, because I wish that, there's another thing I wish I had at home. All right, so what we're going to do, let's get painting here. We don't need floating medium this time, because we've got lots of paint on the brush. Now see my little finger? We're going to touch, and I'm not putting the handle straight up like I told you before. To do this birdhouse, we're going to pull straight down. Now see, it's a little shaky. See, I don't want it to look like that. I'm going to come back over it, and I'm going to go over it again. It's just as easy. I don't want you to think you have to wipe it off and start all over. It's not. I mean, you can fix it by putting more paint. Now I turn the brush over, come right here, and pull straight down the other side. All right? And you can go over that a couple times to smooth it out. Now, we're going to pick up more paint. I don't worry about the brown. I come back and pick up white, both sides, and then I side stroke into the maple syrup again. It's only on one side. And now I'm going to touch, and now I'm going to lead with the white. Okay, so I'm going to touch straight up and down at the bottom of that birdhouse, lean towards, lean the way I'm going, which is down, and pull. Okay, now is my pull absolutely perfectly straight? Not necessarily, but I'm going to put lots of vines around it, and it will be. So if your pull isn't like you want it, don't keep going over that pull.
This painting is very boring so far.
So now what we're going to do,
It's a stick.
let me pull my water over here. We're going to take
Art takes time.
and start working on the
That's fine.
birdhouse roof, which we're going to use berry wine and wicker white on that. Now, I'm going to pick up some white and berry wine again, like I told you before.
Good morning, Bella.
And I'm going to start
We're
the
just
roof
chilling with Donna for a little bit until we feel like hitting
with
the
berry wine and
the-
white. But you know
hitting
what?
the
I want you to make sure that you make this roof and this birdhouse any way that matches the house that you want to put it in. Because lots of times people try to paint things that don't, just because the pattern that they see or a project they see that a teacher's used is a different color. I want it to match your house, not mine. All right? Now let me show you what we're doing here. This is a little stroke that slides down and up. Down and up. And every individual stroke is like a seashell. That we're a sea that's upside down going this way. All right? Now, to get started, I like to put a dot here so that I'm heading to something. And when you're painting this, you want to make sure it doesn't go off your project, so that dot really helps you there. Now, on the side here, when you're doing that stroke, this is what we're going to do. We're going to point the white to the dot so that as we layer these shingles, what we're going to have is one at a time going over, lapping the first. And the last one, we point back up to there. Now this is the key. When we come over here
LGBT
and pick up more
LGBT
dip wide,
sorry.
stroke next to the berry wine, because look what you see here when you're all done. The berry wine stroke, the edge of the berry wine.
LGBTQUV plus. These woke liberals are really getting out of hand, I tell you.
What I just did, look, dip, stroke. If it's looking light pink, that means our
can't even just say gay anymore. It's got to be LGBTQUV plus.
I don't like. I go back and pick up fresh paint. If it's muddy or a stroke I don't like, I pick up fresh paint and I restroke it. Now this right here is going to be like a complete teardrop. See that? It slides down and comes back
lesbian,
up and
gay, transgender, bisexual.
Tilted, or if it's
what's the second T?
Because that's a little bit bigger than I want it to be. I'm not going to repaint it. I'm just going to put vine over there and put a leaf right there.
Teetotaling?
Fix anything. Remember that. All right. Now
queer
let's
or
put
questioning.
The
The QU, I guess, is for
down here at the bottom.
They put a U in there, so.
Now I'm going to use
because you don't just have a Q by itself.
Sky to do that. Pick up a little bit of blue, and it's better to put it on the outer edge.
And then the V is just very
over there and work in the middle.
Very any of those things.
Now this is all going to be blue, so I'm using the number 12.
I'm going to make a poll for what tape we
blue,
watch
and then just very lightly put a teeny bit of white, just for shading. Remember, that saves you a second step of having to go back and shade. Now I want you to see that I'm going to start on this outer edge. Now let's look real close right here. We're going to touch, lean towards the center, and pull. Touch. You can even go out a little bit and then pull in. Either way, so that you have this base here.
I'm doing another mystery poll where I just vaguely suggest what the tape might be.
Touch, lean, pull. Now you're leaning towards the center, remember.
So you can have crime mans, dome mans, or sclerosis mans.
Now lots of times I get that where I don't like it too, but remember there's never any mistakes, because all you have to do is take and put more paint on it and restroke it. Or you can pass a little moss hanging off there or cover it with a leaf, because I'm really good at that. And I want you not to be too hard on yourself. If this is your first project, you're going to have a really good time, because we're learning a lot of strokes, and you'll come back to it after we do a few more projects on your other lessons and come back and go, I can do that better now. All right? Now, what we want to do is we
do not have more donut mans.
Use the script liner and put the accents. Now on the script liner, look at this.
I do want to throw you a Kid Songs
next to the puddle of paint.
Help speed your
3 times.
Your Austrian COVID recovery.
See, I'm out here on the edge making a circle like that, and every time I come around, I touch the puddle. Dip in the water 3 times.
But I have other tapes picked out so far,
right,
so we'll see what
puddle here.
What we get to.
And it's inky. Not pasty, not watery, inky. And the way you find out if your puddle's good is you pull out like this. Now, if it's watery, it'll run. And if it's pasty, it'll be really thick, and you're going to know it more when you paint if it's pasty, okay? Now, we're going to work with just the tip of this brush. And what I want to do is put some accent marks. Now, I've made this birdhouse round by making this curved. If I wanted it straight, I'd go straight back and forth across here. So I'm going to touch this outer edge, and I'm ever so lightly going to pull in shading from one side and then come to the other side, and I want them random. I don't want them exact. Touch, pull, all from the outer edge, okay? Touch the outer edge, pull in. Now, watch what we're going to do now. We're going to touch the handle. This is a dip dot. Dip, dot.
I'm going to fast forward to the end of Donna. And in the meantime, we can watch these random clips.
Learning these new techniques and are ready to put a new look on your next project. Now remember, this tape is divided into 10 segments, so you can easily fast forward to the technique that you need to brush up on. So put your tape player and your remote control right next to your painting table.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope your wood crafting and your painting will be just as much fun as we had.
Oh God, we're only at 22 seconds, or 22 minutes.
We certainly have covered a lot, and I hope it's been helpful for you. Now, get out your latest copy of the Winfield Collections catalog pick out
So
your
it's
next
good that this is a
project
longer
and
clip than I
start it.
thought it was.
Now, if you need a catalog or any of our products, we're as handy as your phone, and it's a free call. The number is 800-946-3435.
I want to see the end of Donna's lesson.
May all your woodcrafting be fun and profitable.
God, Bill Lamb.
That was a good insemination today.
这是很成功的一次人
这
工受
是怎么活
孕。
着的好。
hand on the seat back and using the other hand to move the seat to the desired position.
Father, you've been sad for long enough.
I shall grieve for as long as my heart tells me, Benjamin. Ah, I'm tired. I'm ready to die, I think. Oh, where are you going?
He left his successor with a solid program. He also left behind a two-sport superstar named Dick Groat, who would go on to become one of the greatest players in the history of Duke basketball.
Okay, this tape is not fast-forwarded to where I want it to be yet. It's fine. Let's take a look at our poll. Oh my god, our poll is almost done. It can still be tied for Dome Mans if someone wants Dome. Crime Mans is in the lead, but only by 1. I fully expect someone to snipe. Oh, no. Someone is... Oh. Y'all really want this to be... It's tied. God damn it. All right. How long is Donna tape? Let's just check in with Donna. Let's get to 55 minutes and see how Donna's doing. Maybe Donna will tell us something that indicates either crime or Dome. God, I don't remember is such a good song.
Just a little tip, the one edge of the brush
That's on the outer.
right, that's dragging. Okay, so what do we do here? Do I have to start over?
Do I? Or can I just start in the middle of the leaf?
No, I want you to start over.
Oh, okay.
But you don't have to wipe it off.
Donna is a
No,
demanding
I don't.
instructor.
I can just go, this looks good.
There you go.
Okay.
Now let's show the other side slid. Can you do that?
The push and pull?
No. Let's bring the teaching guide up here, where we kind of slid the side.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I slide.
There you go.
And actually here the yellow's coming.
Yeah, the yellow is. Remember how I said before, only the green going to the tip. On this side, the yellow is going on the tip, and we lead in with the yellow. There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Now, most people tell me, Maribel, that they are having a problem with the stems being really thick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that just means they leaned. They leaned.
Well, I
Is
had that
proper
problem
English?
doing the grass earlier too.
Right. So let me show me how you'd pull your stem down.
Down?
Well, you don't go up to the stem. You come down from the flower.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so I touch there, lean
Lean.
back, and then pull gently, right?
We're not leaning back. We're leaning forward the way
Forward.
we're going.
Okay.
God, I don't want to learn painting from Donna.
You're
So
picking up paint good, Maribel. That's exactly what you're
Okay.
supposed to be doing.
Donna
And
seems
you
very
notice that
condescending.
I get a nicer chisel edge too when I do it that way than when I dip. And
Oh, so when you're pulling the stem, that's good.
right,
That's
yeah.
good.
So I'm touching, I'm pulling back, right?
No,
or I'm leaning.
You're leaning forward.
Leaning forward as where I'm going.
And see
But
the
not-
handle? The handle, she's doing really good,
Straight.
guys. That's what you should be doing.
There you
go.
go.
Now, all we do is come in here. Why don't you get the small brush so we can show them real quick how you would do a one-stroke leaf on here. See this? Pull our stem. There we go.
The thing about inventing your own method of painting is that you can be
See, you want to touch.
a complete asshole to everyone who tries to
and
paint with
pull
it,
Up to the tip.
There we
if
go.
you want to be.
Okay.
Or you can be like Bob Ross
Push,
and be super
turn,
chill about it.
and you're allowed to slide. There you
Right,
go.
and then we pull from the main stem.
I'm being unkind to Donna. She's
There we
fine.
go.
All right.
Now, I think that was a good lesson. And I think Mirabelle did a good job with you too. But what I want you to realize is that when you're at home doing this lesson with me, we did wildflowers, now we did sunflowers.
She's talking like a mom who raised 7 kids.
And when you're at home, I don't want you to spend a lot of time on the teaching guide. I want you to work on the teaching guide and get the strokes down. And when you're having difficulty, go back to the teaching guide. But this is the key. Get on to some projects. Paint all kinds of things around your house. Get note cards. Paint on note cards and mail them to all your friends and paint on the envelopes. Have a good time with it. And that, before you know it, you're going to be an artist and you won't believe it. And people are going to be saying, why didn't you tell me you're an artist? And believe it or not, you'll be one, just like I became one with my 7 children, having a good time, doing something I loved as a hobby.
If you want to become an artist, first you need 7 children.
Something that makes me a living, having a good time, sharing it with others. And I want you to share your talents. God blesses us all with this.
All right, I'm just going to assume that there might be a continuation of the theme song.
Doing something I loved as a hobby, and look at me now. I've turned it into something that makes me a living, having a good time, sharing it with others. And I want you to share your talents. God blesses us all with this. See you later.
Don't fade the song out and then go to black. God, they licensed a cool theme song and then they don't even play it. What a disappointment. Went all the way to the end of Donna's tape just for that. All right. The end for Donna. All right, so we had a toss-up between, because it's tied, we do the third option. Sure. Let's do Sclerosis Man. So let's get this tape out of here. So this is from Biogen Incorporated, the Avonex Alliance, a partnership to optimize multiple sclerosis care for patients, care partners, healthcare professionals, sharing the Avonex experience, gaining a better understanding of Avonex therapy through personal experiences. What a good dog. What a good pink dog. This video describes what it's like to be on Avonex, interferon beta 1A, in the words of people like you who are actually experiencing it. It's our hope that hearing their stories will make you more comfortable with your decision to take Avonex. So this is a promotional advertisement for a drug for multiple sclerosis, a drug therapy treatment for multiple sclerosis. You are Alan Shepard. You do have multiple sclerosis. So let's see what that's like for you. This looks like a short one, incidentally. Oh, hi. We're learning about...
Avonex makes a difference to me in terms of my lifestyle, because I know that according to what the studies say, I'll have fewer exacerbations.
Thank you. We're learning about multiple sclerosis treatments.
I can just move on with my life and stop worrying about the disease so much.
I feel confident with Avonex too. I think it's changed the quality of my life. I think it's something I've got to stick with because it gives me a sense of security, confidence that I can go out and I can drive my car somewhere, or I can take a walk with my daughter.
Well, I know that Avonex isn't a cure, but it does give me hope, something to hold on to. I just really feel that this is the best thing for me and that it is helping. And I have to just keep believing that and telling myself that it is. I'm really glad I'm taking the Avonex.
Roll Tide.
The people you've just seen have multiple sclerosis and are currently taking Avonex, interferon beta 1A. They will be sharing their personal experiences throughout this video to help you gain a better understanding of what Avonex therapy is all about. But keep in mind that everyone is different, and what these patients experience might not necessarily be what you experience.
Oh.
This video will address some of the questions and concerns that you may have about Avonex now that you've begun taking it. One of the most crucial times during any course of treatment is right after you start taking the medication. A good relationship with your doctor can help you maintain a positive attitude about therapy. If you have any questions during the early stage of treatment or at any time during the course
There are
of
instructions
treatment, remember to discuss them with your doctor as
for
soon as
reconstitution and injection.
I was real surprised when I started taking the Avonex because I was
There are
expecting
graphs.
problems, with the reaction sites. And when I started taking Avonex, I was really surprised, because I never had any symptoms. And I kept thinking, well, how come I'm not feeling any kind of symptoms at all from this Avonex, where with other products, I felt bad all the time.
Concern about drug side effects is very common. The most common side effects associated with Avonex are flu-like symptoms, muscle ache, fever, chills, and/or asthenia, which means weakness. Your doctor can tell you about the other
Avonex should be used with caution in patients with depression. Depression and suicide have been reported to occur in patients
taking Avonex
receiving other
in the
interferon
pivotal medical
compounds.
study. If you do experience depression while taking Avonex, you should talk to your doctor. Jerry was
Depression and suicidal ideation are known to occur at an increased frequency in the multiple sclerosis population. A relationship between occurrence of depression and/or suicidal ideation and the use of Avonex has not been
The
established.
side effects that are common to Avonex therapy are generally mild and subside with time.
It says if you're taking this drug and you start,
taking the
you develop
Avonex
depression,
injection,
you should stop taking the
I thought I
drug.
would have real bad side effects, and I did start experiencing fever and chills. So I called the doctor to find out if that was normal.
Oh, I didn't see the
or that,
scarf.
what I should do about it, and they just suggested that I take some medication before, say a couple hours before the injection, and then carry it on into the evening. And
This is really wild because they're legally required to disclaim all the side effects and complications and things.
Time to adjust to
Because,
medication.
that's a
Think of
kind of an
medicine
important
as a new
patient
visitor
rights
to your
thing.
body. It needs time to get comfortable in a new environment.
But the purpose of this tape seems to be to convince you subtly in like a non-legally binding way that you shouldn't worry about the side effects.
Side effects you might expect when starting Avonex therapy. Side effects may continue with weekly injections for several weeks or even months. Most people can adjust to therapy over time. In fact, only 4%, 6 out of 158 of Avonex patients dropped out of therapy during the course of a 2-year medical study due to side effects. Julie manages her side effects by taking acetaminophen a few hours before her injections. Your doctor may recommend that you take a pain reliever such as acetaminophen before and/or after the injection to help reduce side effects. Discuss any concerns you have about your side effects with your physician. You can find information on side effect management in the full prescribing information, which comes folded inside each pack. It can also be found at the back of the brochure, Understanding Avonex Therapy, a treatment guide for relapsing multiple sclerosis. While side effects can affect your quality of life at the beginning of therapy, it's important to keep the benefits of therapy in mind. These benefits can have a much more lasting impact on your life. Let's take a minute to talk about how Avonex can help people with relapsing MS. Avonex is the only therapy clinically proven to slow the progression of disability in relapsing forms of MS. This means that as a group, people treated with Avonex maintain their existing level of function longer. In clinical studies,
Carcinogenesis,
Avonex also
mutagenesis,
significantly
and
reduced the
impairment of
number of
fertility.
exacerbations or flare-ups. In addition, Avonex significantly reduced the number and size of active lesions of the brain caused by MS, as measured by magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. However, we do not know the exact relationship between MRI findings and the clinical status of people with MS.
Avonex, to me, has been great. It's
South Trust
been
Bank.
very low. The attacks have been very minimal. I think I've been taking this drug now since about last June, and I've maybe had one small attack since then.
America Online.
It was very controllable. It wasn't a major
On Windows 3.1, no less.
Before I was on the Avonex, that I probably had 3 or 4 exacerbations a year, maybe once every 3 or 4 months. And since I've been on the Avonex, I've only had one, like you say, one very minor attack. And I have to believe that it has helped me a lot. I do believe that it has.
Exacerbations are part of the natural course of MS. While Avonex therapy cannot completely stop exacerbations from occurring, therapy can reduce the number of attacks.
What's our next tape?
Ultimately enable you to enjoy long
I'm going to give you another chance to decide between crime and dome.
For the time that I've been on Avonex, I have not had anything happen. And the history of my disease is that I would get sick every 10 to 12 months to the day without fail.
While exacerbations
MS does seem like a shitty thing to be saddled with.
disease activity in MS, neither are necessarily related to a person's level of disability. A reduction in exacerbations or MRI lesions is meaningful, but does not automatically result
And
in
I don't
slowing of
understand
disability
yet.
progression.
There's so many gnarly
That's why the
diseases.
clinical study with Avonex is so important. The study proved that Avonex therapy can actually slow the progression of disability.
And with Avonex, you wonder, is this the right stuff? Is this the best stuff out there? And you wonder if it's really going to help you. From my standpoint, it's been great.
It is important to be realistic about any therapy right from the beginning. Sometimes we have very high expectations for treatment, even when we know its limitations. After all, it's human nature to hope for the
Crime
best.
is in the lead.
And it's important to maintain a positive attitude while on therapy.
If I think of how do I know that the Avonex is working, because you really don't know. You know, you give yourself a shot once a week, but you don't have any proof that it is working.
Unlike the obvious results of, say, a pain reliever, it is difficult to actually see or feel the effects of Avonex therapy. Because MS is such a variable disease, even a simple comparison of the number of exacerbations or lesions on an MRI
This is a good sweater, scarf, lab coat combo.
won't prove whether or not Avonex is working. The most important thing to remember about Avonex is that it may help you remain at your current level of function longer than you might have without therapy. You are taking a proactive step against relapsing MS with Avonex. Let's take a minute to talk about dosing. Avonex was proven effective when taken once a week. Clinical studies showed that there were potent enough levels of interferon maintained
God, those seatbelts are so cool.
a weekly dosing schedule.
I like to travel a lot.
I can't believe we didn't federally mandate cool automatic
I ran into a
seatbelts.
situation not too long ago where, due to some bad weather, I couldn't return for 10 days.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
So
in a
I
car.
missed my weekly
Made
dosage of
sense, like the
Avonex.
90s.
And, thoughts are going through my mind like, well, what am I going to do now? Is it like starting all over again? Is it out of my system now because I missed that 1 week, that 1 week's dosage?
As with most chronic medications, if you happen to miss a dose of Avonex, taking it again as soon as you remember is usually acceptable. You may resume your regular schedule after that, but 2 injections should not be administered within 2 days of each other.
Crime has
Stay on the
won.
weekly schedule as much as possible so you can maintain a consistent level of medicine in your system.
The convenience of only having to do it once a
Yes.
week,
That's
it's a lot better.
Big improvement.
And, other drugs, sometimes you got to take them every other day or 3 times a week. You can get confused. You can forget.
Here's a helpful hint to keep you from missing a dose in the future. Try to maintain a consistent injection schedule by marking the day of the week you'll be taking your injection on the calendar several weeks in advance. That way you'll start to associate the day of the
It's
week with your
Avonex Day.
You'll be better able to plan for the injection, and your injection will become part of your weekly routine.
I think it makes a real difference.
This is a short tape. It may only have 5 or 10 more minutes left.
a week.
And we'll get more shots of 90s kitchens.
Very hard to give yourself
Or we
that
can hit the
shot.
bricks.
And
There is a pull now.
sometimes I think I put it off, I'm afraid, but each time I head on into the bathroom with my Avonex.
Remember, kids, crime always wins.
Because I know I have to do it.
I tried to do it myself, and I just couldn't do it. So I have found a friend that will do it for me, and that helps. But I would rather do that than to go without the medication because I know
There's the whole process here.
for me.
It's perfectly normal to be anxious about giving your own injection.
Wash your hands.
For many people, it
You need the
becomes
vial of Avonex. a vial of diluent single-use,
home and are having trouble, consider
a
getting
syringe,
friend or
a blue
family member
micropen, a
trained
sterile
to help you
needle,
do
alcohol wipes, a gauze pad,
or talk to your
syringe
doctor about
disposal
getting the
container,
shot from a healthcare
and
professional.
adhesive bandage.
You know, one thing that I do wonder about, and maybe I'm remiss for not having asked this before.
You have to reconstitute the medication.
I want to know how long I can stay on Avonex. I need to ask my doctor, I guess.
I thought you were supposed to stay on it indefinitely.
Being involved in any long-term treatment plan means making a lasting commitment to your health care.
Oh, the music is coming
One that
in.
impacts you, your friends, and family members.
I think that means we're done.
Avonex is intended for long-term use. Talk to your doctor if you have any questions about how long to take Avonex.
I think the Avonex as a whole has really been great for me. It's really kept me at a level where I can still function.
For all people out there.
Mario 3 and a fucking VCR. Oh my god.
I mean, think of what could happen to you if you stop taking it. The choice is very easy to make.
For the first time since I was diagnosed, I feel really confident that I can move forward with my life and that the disease isn't going to stop me. I can have as rich and full a lifestyle as I never did or ever wanted to.
We're just getting a nice little slice of the 90s here.
The most common side effects associated with Avonex treatment were flu-like symptoms, muscle ache, fever, chills, and asthenia, weakness. Other common side effects seen, but not statistically significant, were headache, Avonex 67%, placebo 57%, and pain, Avonex 24%, placebo 20%.
I did not save the clip. There's nothing really.
With caution
what am I going to do with that clip?
And in people with seizure disorders. Avonex should not be used by pregnant women. People with cardiac disease should be closely monitored. Routine periodic blood chemistry and hematology tests are recommended during treatment with Avonex. Please see full prescribing information provided with this video.
Allison, Jerry, and Julie, who are actually taking Avonex. I mean, I have provided as a patient at Biogen, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 1999. Who was playing? They had to record that footage earlier. Like that looked like these looked like, you know, households with decent income. Why would they be playing Mario 3 in 1999? I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing Mario 3 in 1999. And yeah, Windows 3.1, come on.
Take Avonex.
I think
who would enjoy old media after the time in which it was made?
Kept me at a level
Weird.
where I can still
It's just
function.
gross.
For all people out there that are taking Avonex, you think of the alternative. I mean, think of what could happen to you if you stop taking it. The choice is very easy to make.
For the first time since I was diagnosed,
A double
I
bingo.
feel really confident that I can move forward with my life and that the disease isn't going to stop me. I can have as rich and full a lifestyle as I never did or ever wanted to.
Okay.
The most common side effects associated.
We got the clip. That was a 12.5-minute tape about a drug treatment for MS. Thank you for watching that with me. Let me go ahead and give some points to the people who just won bingo. That's Facebook. Congrats on winning bingo. Grant credit. And Kiwi Lee Scipio. All right, now it's crime time. Are you ready for crime time? Who doesn't love crime? This is from A&E Home Video, so hopefully they don't have a problem with... excuse me? Why is this not... Why are you broken, website? American... Oh, it's because American is in a lot of things. Duh. American Justice, Volume 1 from A&E. It is a documentary videotape. A&E Home Video provides you with the opportunity to own, collect, and share the very best in documentaries, dramas, comedies, and the performing arts. American Justice, narrated by Bill Curtis. Wait, the NPR Bill Curtis? The guy whose voice can be on your answering machine? American Justice investigates historical crimes of the 20th century and explores how they have altered the American system of justice. Each episode focuses on one crime, examining the criminal and his motives, how the crime was committed, the manner in which it was solved, and the repercussions of the case on the criminal justice system. Volume 1 includes the following episodes: The Lindbergh baby kidnapping, which reviews the controversial conviction of the kidnapper/murderer of the famous aviator's son; Lucky Luciano, which explores the mafia underworld of the mid-20th century; and Al Capone, which shows how FBI agents got the evidence to convict the infamous mobster on tax evasion charges. This is from 1992. Each episode is approximately 25 minutes. So we can split this up if you want. We can watch one or two of these and then see how it fares on Content ID. Anyway, I am quite interested in the history of the mob and Lucky Luciano and Al Capone. I've watched a lot of Boardwalk Empire. Anyway, this was sent in by the Bella Bunny, and I hope you enjoy it. Oh, I'm getting a text from my congressional representative. Oh, God. Oh, yes. This is so beautiful. I'm going to rewind to the beginning and record this. I've just already decided we're going to watch it twice.
Welcome to the world of arts and entertainment. And thank you for joining us here on A&E Home Video.
It's really beautiful. Comedy, ha ha ha. Oh, sorry, I didn't start it early enough. I love comedy, ha ha ha. Damn it, sorry, it cuts in immediately after the FBI warning. Start recording, here we go. Documentary, Surprise Hitler.
Welcome to the world of arts and entertainment. And thank you for joining us here on A&E Home Video.
Incredible. Like, the reason that show is so good, at least one of
the Normandy has sailed into New York Harbor. The United States has been in the Second World War for just 60 days. With every ship now needed for the war effort, the Normandy is being fitted out as a troop ship. Suddenly, the alarm is sounded. Fire! An explosion has ripped through the ship and flames are spreading rapidly. Within hours, the Normandy is ablaze. Within a day, the pride of the French passenger fleet is a wrecked hulk. The chiefs of naval intelligence are worried. It must have been sabotaged by Nazi fifth columnists. How can they stop the same thing happening again and again? They ask the harbor officials, who confess that the waterfront is really controlled by quite another organization, the Mafia. Nothing can happen in the docks without their agreement. Swallowing their pride, naval intelligence officers first approach Joe Sox Lanza, notorious czar of the Fulton fish market. But he admits that he has no power over the docks. They are controlled by Charles Lucky Luciano from a prison cell. Luciano had been put away by crusading District Attorney Thomas E. Dewey for 30 to 50 years. The charges? Extortion and prostitution. So an extraordinary conference was held in Sing Sing prison a few weeks later. Meeting the naval authorities and Dewey's men are Luciano and racketeers Frank Costello and Meyer Lansky. The Navy asks, would Luciano ensure that there is no more sabotage in New York Harbor? At first, he seems reluctant. Then he offers a deal, his freedom, in return for a guarantee of protection. After consultation, the Navy and Dewey agree, but Charlie Luckey could not be set free until after the war. As the Allies fought toward victory, there was no more sabotage in the docks. In 1943, Luciano put the authorities further in his debt by agreeing to contact the Mafia in his home turf of Sicily before the Allied landings and asking them to help the invading Americans. That left only one unsolved mystery. Who started the Normandy fire? Years later, Luciano claimed that it had been set up on his instructions. The whole sabotage scare had been a scam to get himself out of jail. The fact that he was holding up his adopted country in time of war wouldn't have bothered Luciano. There has never been a more ruthless or murderous criminal, or one more clever.
Luciano was to become the untitled lord of the gangsters, a new breed of criminals. They rose from among the millions of immigrants who poured into the U.S. around the turn of the century in search of a new future. The gangsters first preyed on their own ethnic neighborhoods. Then they branched out and took over lucrative businesses one by one. In the 1930s, Charlie Lucky Luciano inherited the reins from the older generation of Italian warlords, the so-called Mustache Petes. He invented new ways to solve old disputes. In the process, he made organized crime truly organized. Exactly how he established control is our story in this edition of American Justice. Luciano was able to create the illusion that there was no single mob boss, when in fact he was always in charge. Virtually single-handed, he created America's Cosa Nostra, the secret empire of murder and profit that would come to be known as the Mafia.
Born Salvatore Lucania, Lucky Luciano came to the United States in 1906 at the age of 8 as part of the great tide of Italian immigrants to the Lower East Side's Little Italy. Often arrested as a child for stealing, he spent 4 months locked in a truant school. Regularly beaten by his father, he left home and slept where he could. At the age of 18, he was sent to the notoriously harsh Hampton Farms Penitentiary for a year for peddling narcotics. His reward for keeping silent when arrested was to be made a full member of the 5 Points Gang, alongside Al Capone, Frankie Yale, and Johnny Torrio. He spent his spare time at the racetracks and gambling, where he gained the nickname Lucky. As the Italian and Jewish gangs fought for territory on the Lower East Side between 1915 and 1920, he committed more than 20 murders, often with an ice pick or baseball bat. In 1919, he was officially sworn into the Mafia, at that time more of a secret society than the ruthless business it was to become. Then he started his own gang, specializing in protecting the brothels of New York from being smashed up by the members of the protection gang itself. Gradually, Charlie Lucky took over the brothels himself until he controlled over 5,000 women. This was the era of prohibition, when bootlegging and speakeasies flourished.
I guess this is the closest thing to footage of a brothel that they had to put on this tape.
Luciano
I'm sure there was a lot of crooked business in
acting as liaison between the Italian and Jewish bootleggers
industry.
He was also active in drug smuggling. His empire became the target for other gangsters' ambitions. In 1929, he was kidnapped by Legs Diamond's gang. 4 men beat him while their car cruised slowly through the streets. He was dumped with blood pouring through his expensive suit and with deep cuts in his cheeks and throat. Somehow he survived to tell the cops, "I don't know where, what, nothing. I'm pals with everybody." By 1930, he was skimming an estimated $800,000 a year for himself He had a permanent suite at the Barbizon Plaza Hotel under the name of Charles Lane. And when the Waldorf Astoria was built, he moved to an even more lavish suite there, using the name Charles Ross. It was around this time that he had his great idea, which was to transform crime in the U.S., to create a national crime syndicate, to share out the spoils and eliminate gang warfare. But first he had to take part in the bitterest fighting New York had ever seen, the Castellamarese War of 1930 to 1931 between the Sicilian Salvatore Maranzano and Joe the Boss Masseria. Frustrated by what he perceived as a sterile, wasteful battle, Luciano decided to eliminate both leaders. On April 15th, 1931, he invited Masseria to lunch at the Villa Tamaro restaurant in Coney Island. They discussed how to kill members of Maranzano's gang.
Most of his stuff is dramatized in Boardwalk Empire.
A black limousine drew up outside. 4 of Lucky's gang: Albert Anastasia, Vito Genovese, Joe Adonis.
If you're into this kind of stuff, I recommend Boardwalk Empire. It's well worth watching if this is your bag.
Luciano pretended to Maranzano that he had killed on his behalf. In gratitude, the Sicilian named him as head of one of 5 families into which he was dividing New York. But within a few months, Maranzano was planning to eliminate several of his nominees. He hired a non-Italian, Vincent Mad Dog Cull, to kill Luciano. But Charlie Lucky got to him first. His killers caught Maranzano at his office by Grand Central Station. They shot him 4 times, stabbed him 6, and then slit his throat to make sure. Now Luciano could start to put his vision into operation, and he divided up the rackets on the model of respectable corporations. He gave Louis Lepke the garment industry and the unions. Frank Costello was made overlord of gambling. Dutch Schultz got the liquor concession. Meyer Lansky was the banker, laundering their vast incomes. Albert Anastasia ran the docks and Murder Incorporated, the heavy mob that killed when it was told to. And Luciano himself held on to prostitution and drugs and took the chair at company meetings. Luciano was greatly helped by the widespread corruption in public life in New York. Tammany Hall, the Democratic Club, was in mafia pay, as was Mayor Jimmy Walker, a former writer of popular songs. Walker, in turn, relied on Police Chief Grover Warren.
My confidence in you is no greater than that of every citizen of this community.
But what he failed to mention was that Warren took bribes from Frank Costello. By 1933, there was massive public discontent in the city. A hard-fought election campaign brought in Fiorello LaGuardia on an anti-mob ticket.
I do. I have just assumed the office of mayor of the city of New York.
His determination was soon evident with the confiscation and smashing of gaming machines. LaGuardia went after the mob by appointing Thomas Dewey as special prosecutor.
Local authorities in New York and in almost every great city in the country hold office by grace of politicians who are in partnership with criminals.
Dewey made Dutch Schultz his first target, bringing him to trial in Albany for income tax evasion on his bootlegging profits. Against all the evidence, the jury, which was both cowed and bribed by the mob, found Dutch not guilty. Incensed, Dewey announced that he was going to get the Dutchman for murder. Schultz came to a meeting of the syndicate with a plan to strike first and kill Dewey. But Luciano vetoed this, and Schultz stormed out, vowing to do the job with or without permission. Now challenged from within as well as by the DA's men, the crime syndicate decided to kill Schultz. The job was given to Luciano's bodyguard, Charlie the Bug Workman, and on the evening of October 23, 1935, Schultz and 3 of his henchmen were shot to death in the Palace Chop House in Newark, New Jersey. Perhaps unaware of how narrowly he had escaped death, Dewey turned his attention to Luciano, now unrivaled as the big boss. With a string of racehorses and an income of more than $1 million a year, Lucky Luciano now behaved more like a businessman than a hood. But as Thomas Dewey's men closed in, Luciano prudently moved his headquarters to another state, Arkansas. Meanwhile, back in New York, Prosecutor Dewey was getting Luciano's employees to talk. Having paid Luciano a large proportion of their income for years, veteran prostitutes began to testify against him, providing enough evidence for a grand jury to indict him on 90 counts of running a vice business. Professor Robert Blakey, who drafted federal anti-racketeering legislation in the late 1960s, says the Luciano case broke new ground.
That case against Luciano was made with a wiretap. Dewey put 3 wiretaps in on the houses of prostitution and listened to the conversations between the managers. And once he had their conversations, he called them into the grand jury and turned them to testify against Luciano.
Dewey had to battle to extradite Luciano from Arkansas. But at last, in May 1936, Charles Lucania, as he was called on the charge sheet, found himself in a New York courthouse. Caught out in lies about the rackets and trapped by the testimony,
it's
he faced
Prayer
a
Bear.
hostile Judge McCook. He was set up for a minimum of 30 years. This unheard-of sentence was delivered under a new anti-racket statute that was named for its author, Thomas E. Dewey.
Criminal procedure at that time envisioned one indictment, one crime. Dewey went to the state legislature and passed, or had passed, what's known as the Dewey Bill. And that is, you could join similar crimes together. So he was able to try not a single act of prostitution and getting the money from it, but 90 acts of prostitution and realizing the money from it.
For a while, it looked as if crime would cease to pay after all. With Luciano away, Dewey went after Vito Genovese, who was attempting to move into his place. The heat proved too much, and Vito fled to Italy.
It's quite a stare, yeah.
Dewey's hunt continued, and he reinforced his determination to protect informers.
Every witness the people have had has been protected 100%, and they always will be.
He also relied on public appeals.
During the past 2 years, 5 former members of this gang have been shot. And now a respectable citizen has been killed by bullets apparently intended for another Lepke associate. Lepke must be found dead or alive.
$25 reward.
Racketbusters found a canary who was willing to sing. The testimony of Abe Kid Twist Rellis was to solve 49 gangland hits.
Oh, did he get whacked after that?
Among the people he sent to the electric chair was Lewis.
Oh, $25,000 reward. Okay.
Rellis was guarded at Coney Island's Half Moon Hotel, but even in hiding, he was not safe from the mob's vengeance. Supposedly protected by 6 cops, his body was found 6 stories below his room. How he got there remained a mystery for 10 years. Then Luciano revealed that he and Frank Costello, seen here testifying at the Kefauver hearings in 1951, where the power of the mob first became apparent to the American public, had paid $50,000 to bribe the guards to hit him with a billy club and then throw him out of the window. Among those on the case for this gangland execution,
it's that easy.
William O'Dwyer, then Brooklyn's district attorney, who later became a notoriously corrupt mayor of New York.
We're talking about the death of Abe Rellis. A little child could understand this, and I say again, you said that no statute of limitations runs against a murder case.
Yes.
That's the law. But I said, and I ask your assent to it as a man, but a disappearance of witnesses by death or otherwise is just as effective in nullifying as a statute of limitations, isn't it?
If what you're saying is that if you don't have witnesses, you can't prosecute or get a conviction,
you
you're
can't
right.
put words in my mouth. The English language is plain. The sentence is fair. I ask you a question, yes or no?
I will agree that if there are no
much.
witnesses, you can't prosecute.
All the time he was in jail, Charlie Lucky had kept control of the National Crime Syndicate. And even now, after 1946, when he became the most notorious of the many undesirable aliens deported to Italy, he still got his share of the proceeds. Banned from America, he slipped back across the Atlantic to Cuba in 1946. Meyer Lansky was running the gambling casinos on a deal with the dictator, Batista. At a conference, Luciano beat off a challenge to his leadership from Vito Genovese, who had returned to the United States.
He really beat off Vito, didn't he?
The decision was made to kill Luciano's lifelong friend, Bugsy Siegel. Bugsy had been transforming Las Vegas into America's gambling capital with the help of the mob's money. But when his girlfriend, Virginia Hill, stole millions of syndicate dollars meant for the casinos, Bugsy couldn't pay off the loan. A few months later, he met the fate of all who crossed the syndicate, shot through the window of Virginia Hill's house. She was also at the Kefauver hearings to be questioned about her role as money carrier between Luciano and other mafia associates.
Did you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, and none that I knew. They
Oh
never
my
gave
God.
me anything.
That is a great 1940s mob girlfriend voice that she's got there.
It pressured Batista to deport him. Luciano vainly attempted to enter Brazil and Venezuela before accepting his fate and returning to Italy. Upset at his illegal trip and worried about a crime syndicate he was setting up in Rome, the Italian government barred him from the capital. He was forced to live in Naples. Despite the efforts of the Italian police, Luciano successfully used his links throughout Italy to establish an international drug smuggling trade, which flourishes to this day. Luciano continued to dream of being able to return to the United States, but there was little chance. Restrictions were often placed on Luciano's ability to travel. In 1949, he was briefly arrested and jailed for drug running, but there was not enough hard evidence to convict him. In 1955, he was put under curfew and banned from leaving his house between dusk and dawn or traveling more than 16 miles from Naples. Toward the end of his life, he dreamed of an epic film glorifying his career. On January 26, 1962, Luciano went to Naples Airport to meet the producer of the projected film. As he reached his car, his features contorted with a heart attack that killed him within minutes. In death, he was granted the wish that had eluded him for the last 16 years of his life. After a requiem mass in Naples, he was allowed back into the United States to be buried in the family vault he had purchased in Queens, New York.
Even while he was in exile, Luciano was able to keep his criminal network in full operation and in complete secrecy. And as long as La Cosa Nostra remained in the shadows, the law was unable to shut it down. But Luciano met his match in Thomas Dewey, the New York prosecutor whom he had saved from assassination. Dewey understood that the mob was an organization, not a collection of individual hoods. Then, a year after Luciano's death, the first in a long line of mafia informants, Joseph Valachi, explained the elaborate secret structure of the crime syndicate to a Senate committee. The code of silence had been broken, and the gradual disintegration of the mob had begun. It was a pivotal moment for American justice. The kingpins still rise and fall, but law enforcement officials say La Cosa Nostra will never again see days like those when Lucky Luciano ran the show.
All right. Should we, oh my God. We're, so close to a tie, and I can't believe that this always seems to happen. It's almost as if none of you ever have any actual opinions, or you have opinions, but they are overridden by your desire to meme a tied poll every single time. It's a tie. All right, you bastards. Let's just get a little steam going. I feel like that would be a good break at least. We need that palate cleanser, courtesy of Green Day. Thank you for getting getting us a little steam break at least.
Rich yellow mustard.
That's a hot dog. This is steam. Well done. Hey, very nice. Give me steam, and how you feel can make it real. Hey, doodly doodly, thank you. Thank you, Will, for 1,000 bits for the Street Sweeper song. What a great follow-up. Let's get it queued up. We've really come a long way in 97 streams. 97. We have so much random chaotic garbage that we can make happen now. I love it. There are new details to notice every time you watch Steam. Yeah, Chris Fleming is amazing. I've been a fan of Chris Fleming's work for a long time, but I didn't know that he had a Peter Gabriel bit. When you gain an appreciation for Peter Gabriel, then there's so much more pop culture that's unlocked to you.
There's leaves and trash and paper and cash, they left it all in the gutter. So along comes Dusty singing this song with a chuckle, a snort, and a mutter. Oh, doodly 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 doo. I'm scrubbing and scraping, I'm pavement landscaping, I'm buffing this place to a sheen. Now just to remember, January to December, I'm Dusty, the street sweeping gal. My brushes are metal, I'm in fine fettle with Mac, my big city pal. Oh, doodly 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 doo, I'm keeping the streets so clean. I'm scrubbing and scraping, I'm pavement landscaping, I'm buffing this place to a sheen.
In fine fettle, that's an expression. Fettle means condition, state, or trim.
This pooch can't figure out why he always has a waxy buildup on his fur.
It's Mop Dog. Sorry, I just threw in Mop Dog because I love Mop Dog. Everyone loves Mop Dog.
Through the advancement of electronic science.
Okay, well, it's time for Al Capone, because crime won. Well, it was a tie, but... the crime lover.
Chicago in the Roaring '20s, the center of the Jazz Age. Maybe New York was bigger, but at least in a couple of ways, Chicago was the undisputed leader. The Great Fire of 1871 had led to an exciting new city with the best modern architecture in America. And it was the bootleg capital of the country. In
Bones.
If liquor was found, it was destroyed.
Thank you, Haley 92. 1,000 bits for Gimme Them Bones.
And Chicago became the center of this new trade.
The sick bones connected to the other sick bone.
The city's mayor, William Big Bill Thompson, was as big a crook as anyone he took bribes from. He positively welcomed bootlegging in his territory. Bootlegging meant bootleggers, and bootleggers meant gangsters. And gangsters soon came to mean Al Capone.
Oh, rascal.
By the time the 20s ended, he was undisputed king of the heap. And what put him there was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Chicago was divided into spheres of criminal influence. The North Side was controlled by Bugs Moran, Capone's sworn enemy. By January 1929, Moran's gang was hijacking Capone's trucks and bombing the bars that took Capone's bootleg beer. Capone's head gunman, machine gun Jack McGurn, was ambushed in a phone booth and barely escaped alive. This convinced Capone to eradicate Moran's North
It's a crime train.
Once and for all. His killers were summoned to his palatial winter home on Palm Island, Florida. They laid their plans. On the morning of St. Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1929, Capone rose early and had a swim in his pool. Then he ostentatiously established himself an alibi. Meanwhile in Chicago, Bugs Moran had a phone call from a man who said he had hijacked a truckload of whiskey. He was told to deliver it to the Moran warehouse at 2122 North Clark Street at 10:30 on the 14th of February. Bugs himself was late, but 6 members of the gang were waiting. Outside the warehouse, a car drew up. 2 men in police uniform got out, followed by 2 in civilian clothes. Bugs Moran saw them and guessed that the police had found out about the hijacked whiskey. He walked away and saved his life. A few moments later, there was the sound of shooting from the warehouse. The two assumed cops came out with the other two men at gunpoint.
Hey, Florfana, thank you for gifting us up.
Inside the warehouse, there was a scene of carnage. The 6 members of the North Side gang lay sprawled among the blood. A 7th man, who got a vicarious thrill out of associating with gangsters, got more than a thrill this time. He was dead too.
Check your points, Bella Bunny.
Frank Gusenberg, with 14 wounds, lived long enough to keep his gangland honor. Nobody shot me, he told the police.
It's just an advance on the mod allowance.
Although everyone was convinced as to who was responsible, the St. Valentine's Day massacre went officially into the unsolved file. A reward of $100,000 failed to come up with any information. In Florida, Al Capone threw a Valentine's night party.
Ooh, pure energy.
As he celebrated, Capone probably didn't realize
Need
that
some
his
calcium for those bones. Thank you, Jess.
Gang spelled the beginning of the end for him. Public enemy number 1, as the police called him.
Hey, Green Day, thank you for gifting those 5 community
cheered
subs.
at baseball games when President Herbert Hoover wasn't. But folk hero or not, the public was getting fed up with this endless violence, and Chicago was becoming an international embarrassment. President Hoover decided it was time to close Capone down. In tonight's edition of American Justice, we'll see just how it was done. The Hollywood version highlights Elliot Ness and his brave machine gun-toting untouchables. In fact, while Ness was getting the publicity, federal investigators were quietly pursuing this most brutal of gangsters for something else: income tax evasion.
To safeguard his position as king of the Chicago underworld,
I guess this is the boring part of the Al Capone story. It's how they got him on tax fraud.
Siciliani, run by 3 Sicilians who were ostensibly his allies. So less than 3 months after the St. Valentine's Day massacre, Capone staged a lavish banquet in honor of the trio. Everyone left their guns outside. After many courses and bottles of wine, the 3 Sicilians were relaxed. Suddenly, at a signal from their boss, the Capone gang jumped on the trio, tied them up, and Al himself walked behind them with a baseball bat. Cursing them as traitors, he beat them until they were unconscious. Then a bodyguard fetched a gun to finish them off. Now at last, Capone could look back with satisfaction on the success of his ruthless career. It was a career which had begun in New York on January 17th, 1899.
Luna Gazer, thank you for gifting that sub to Cresselia.
Child of Italian immigrants living in Brooklyn.
I think we keep doing hype train stuff that I do not have any graphics for.
Troublesome boy.
I really got to at least make it so there are multiple Peter Gabriels with each level.
As a mere boy, Capone became a runner for the local gangster chief, Johnny Torrio, and soon a junior member of his dreaded 5 Points gang. Al graduated to pimp for Johnny's brothels and worked as a bouncer at a bar owned by another member of Torrio's gang, Frankie Yale. One night, Capone made a rude remark to a girl. Her brother overheard and slashed him in the face 3 times with a knife, leaving him with a nickname he hated, Scarface. The only nickname he ever tolerated was Snorky, slang for a smart dresser. Capone was frequently involved in vicious fighting, and in 1919 decided to get out of New York and join Johnny Torrio in Chicago. Johnny had gone to the Windy City as heir apparent to his uncle, the town's top gangster, Big Jim Colosimo. Diamond Jim had built an empire based on prostitution, dope, and gambling. Chicago in the early 20th century was already one of the nation's most corrupt cities. One classic example of this was the 1919 World Series, when a New York gangster, Arnold Rothstein, bribed the Chicago White Sox to lose. Police and politicians all took bribes.
Yay.
For Colosimo and his gang to ensure immunity. In April 1920, Colosimo had married a young opera singer, Dale Winter, whom he adored. Secret whispering started that Colosimo had gone soft and was no longer fit to lead a tough gang. Less than a month later, on May the 11th, in the lobby of one of his own restaurants, Colosimo's, Big Jim was shot to death.
All of this is dramatized in Boardwalk Empire, too.
Responsible has never been proven.
This stuff happens in season 1.
His uncle's restaurants and gambling dens, whorehouses and dope running. Now he was free to add bootlegged liquor. It was the imposition of prohibition on January 17, 1920, which provided the impetus which took organized crime in the United States from a local to a national business. Intimidation, prostitution, and drugs had allowed gangsters like Colosimo and Torrio to dominate individual
tax evasion.
But the import and distribution of liquor demanded wider arrangements. Chicago was ideally situated to profit from prohibition. Canada was nearby with its breweries and entrepreneurs. The city had been a center of America's brewing, so the expertise existed to produce illicit liquor in abundance. Chicago was large, wild, and corrupt, so the new business could flourish with plenty of protection from the authorities. Illicit drinking clubs, gambling houses, and nightclubs enjoyed enormous popularity, hardly troubled by the law. Johnny Torrio first used Al as his bodyguard. The burly young tough did so well that he was upgraded to junior partner. One of his own best customers, Al drank and gambled his way up the ladder. Publicly, he claimed to be just a dealer in second-hand furniture. Together, he and his fellow immigrants from Naples battled with Dion O'Banion's Northsiders and the Sicilians, led by the notorious Jenner brothers. With Mayor Thompson and the police in their pay, the rival gangs could do what they liked, and their only problems came with each other. Their wars became headline news throughout the world. When Chicago itself became too hot for their headquarters, Torrio's gang took over the suburb of Cicero as their base. Occasionally, police from Chicago would attempt a cleanup. At one shootout, at a polling booth where they were telling the voters at gunpoint how to vote, Al's brother Frank was killed. Al escaped over a wall. Johnny Torrio decided to retire in 1925 after a shootout with Bugs Moran and little Jaime Weiss. Badly injured and almost killed, it was time to leave town. He passed control to Capone. The new boss stepped up the killings. First came revenge on Dion O'Banion. He was rubbed out on his florist shop and succeeded by Bugs Moran. Capone himself was under constant threat and was almost killed when his car was riddled with bullets. Prudently, Al ordered himself a new bulletproof car. Behind the rear seat was a gun locker, and the rear window was hinged at the bottom so a marksman could fire at pursuers. As Capone himself had proved more than once, you can't trust nobody. In 1927, it was the turn of his boyhood chum, Frankie Yale, the executioner, to turn against him. Reluctantly, Al signed his death warrant. His killers pursued their former associate to New York. Capone's grip on Chicago was confirmed in 1929 at the first ever national meeting of organized criminals held in Atlantic City. Some of the biggest gangsters in the country attended. Dutch Schultz, Frank Costello, and Lucky Luciano represented New York. From this summit emerged the octopus that grew to grip American crime, the Mafia. Capone's rackets were now pulling in at least $60 million a year, but he spent enormously, including around $1 million a year gambling on horses. His mansions in Florida and Chicago were guarded round the clock, and armed guards escorted him everywhere. He had his own secret entrance to the Chicago hotels, first in the dowdy Metropole, where 50 rooms were kept for his entourage, and then in the posh Lexington. His Irish wife, May, whom he had married when still a young hoodlum back in New York, was rarely with him. He kept a string of mistresses and auditioned the new girls for his brothels. When the going got really tough after the St. Valentine's Day massacre, Capone ironically took refuge in the safest place of all, he chose to go to jail.
Hispani humming?
He arranged to be arrested on the faintly ludicrous charge of carrying a gun and spent 10 months inside. He was allowed all the visitors he liked and the use of a full-time telephone to run his empire. The world he emerged into had changed dramatically. The Wall Street crash of 1929 had precipitated a worldwide depression. Millions were out of work, and poverty was rampant. Capone had always behaved like a medieval baron, destroying his enemies and rewarding his friends. Now he used the Depression to get favorable publicity by being one of the first to set up soup kitchens. As these interviews show, at least some people in Chicago felt they had reason to be grateful to him.
But this is the finest soup I ever tasted in my life, and give my regards to this place.
If it wasn't for our friend Al Caponio roping up in this here White House on 935 South State Street, we wouldn't eat.
Acting as what today would be called his public relations consultant was a reporter on the Chicago Tribune named Jake Lingle. Although his salary from the paper was only $65 a week, he lived high off the hog and contributed scoop after scoop glorifying Capone, who was quietly paying him $60,000 a year. On the 9th of June, 1930, the day before he was to meet federal agents investigating Capone, Jake Lingle was gunned down. Capone insisted he was shot by another gang, but the finger was pointed at him. For President Herbert Hoover, this murder was the last straw. Along with J. Edgar Hoover, the ambitious young head of the FBI, the president vowed to put Capone permanently behind bars. Their approach was two-pronged. Under the leadership of a young University of Chicago graduate, Elliot Ness, the Justice Department formed the group known as the Untouchables. This was a squad of agents trusted to be completely incorruptible. A concerted drive was launched to destroy illegal stills and brewing operations. Although these activities had a publicity and nuisance value, they were mostly a smokescreen for the really effective way of putting the villains behind bars. Frank Wilson, who later headed the investigation into the Lindbergh baby kidnapping, was enrolled by the Internal Revenue Service to get the racketeers through income tax evasion. Organized crime expert Robert Blakey says the Capone investigation established a...
They use this shot of this same dude in every episode.
The federal government has been in organized crime control since, using the Internal Revenue Service and chasing the money. The paper trail. Capone is the first major paper trail case.
A federal agent, Mike Malone, booked into the Lexington Hotel, pretending to be on the run. He wormed his way into the Capone inner circle and found out their financial secrets. First to be caught was Capone's brother, Ralph. His book showed that $8 million had passed through his hands in the last 4 years, and no tax had been paid on it. He got 3 years in jail. Next was the Capone gang's treasurer, Jake Greasy Thumb Guzik, 5 years. By the summer of 1930, the structure Capone had so carefully built was beginning to crack. Wilson traced Capone's bookkeeper, threatened and cajoled him, and at last got his reluctant agreement to testify in return for immunity. In June, Capone was charged with 23 counts of tax evasion. The IRS said he owed $388,000, all that they could prove. Al's lawyers tried to plea bargain, but the judge wouldn't allow it. The gang went after the members of the jury instead. On the day of the trial, the judge switched juries with another case. On October 22, 1931, the untainted jury found Capone guilty on enough of the charges for him to be sentenced to 11 years in prison.
I would be a little nervous being a juror on that kind of case back then.
While he was in Cook County Jail, Capone continued to run his empire. But this became impossible when he was moved to the federal penitentiary in Atlanta. In 1934, he was transferred to the dreaded escape-proof Alcatraz in San Francisco Bay. This spelled the end of the line for the king of the crooks. He held himself aloof from the rest of those imprisoned on the Rock, but when he was denied all privileges and given cleaning jobs to do, other prisoners took to calling him the Wop with the Mop. When he refused to join in a prisoner's strike, he was stabbed in the back with a pair of scissors. His mind began to wander, and tests showed he had syphilis, no doubt passed on to him by one of his past employees. As the years passed, Capone's syphilis grew worse. He gradually became paralyzed and was released in 1939 for treatment. His wife May looked after him at their Florida home for 7 more years, when he died of a stroke and pneumonia at the age of 47. Capone's final body count is reckoned to be at least 400 men murdered at his command, and 40 by his own hand.
There's a famous quote from Capone. What is Al Capone? What am I? I'm just a beer salesman. And therefore, I'm just in a business. And the business is illicit alcohol. Sort of the implicit argument is, if we decriminalized alcohol, then I would be just a businessman. What people forget is the underlying basis for Al Capone's power: murder.
Capone was buried in Mount Olivet Cemetery in Chicago with a simple headstone. But so many tourists came to see the grave, 5 years later the family moved his remains to another cemetery. Even in death, Al Capone had to hide.
Yeah. They got Capone in the 30s.
Capone was one of the first major.
Luciano continued to be in charge of the mob for decades.
Still serves as a model for such prosecution today. But if Capone's lawyers had been a little better versed in the new tax laws of the 1930s, they might have gotten him off the hook. The ledgers that brought down public enemy number 1 were the books for a casino that he once admitted he owned, 5 years before his trial. The statute of limitations on that evidence was 3 years. So if Capone's attorneys had raised that objection during the trial, the king of gangland Chicago might have gone free on a technicality. But by the time his lawyers discovered their mistake, it was too late. A chapter in American justice was complete, and Al Capone's reign of terror was over.
I must be the greatest! I took up the world! I took up the world!
It's A&E promos.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
As long as they keep making history, we'll keep writing their biographies. Peter Graves hosts the landmark television series Biography, the stories of extraordinary lives on the Arts and Entertainment Network.
Man, remember television being kind of decent and well produced. Let's do. What is A&E still around? And did it turn into like Ancient Aliens-esque garbage at some point? Where's that other clip? We had Them Bones from Haley 92, followed by Pure Energy, courtesy of Seemingly Jess. Let's do it.
So you wanna be a doctor? Well, they're getting there is slow. A whole lot of school to learn the things you gotta know. We're going to call on our friend, the skeleton, and name these bones one by one.
Good luck to you on your healing journey from the Austrian COVID.
We got the foot bones. Connect the shin bones. Connect the thigh bones.
I hope you start feeling better soon, and I hope this song helps.
Now what we've got here is the lower half of the body, beautiful, and that's no laugh. The other bones of the body we need you see, 'cause put together
All illnesses
they make you and me.
All illnesses come to are the result of poor bone connections. So I think if you drink enough milk, you'll get better.
We got the finger bones. Connect the hand bones. Connect the arm bones. Connect the shoulder bones.
Now you and me are gonna play a little game. I'll point to the bone and you say the name.
Foot bone. Shin bone.
Leg bone. Oh. Ass bone. Oh.
Finger bone, hand bone, arm bone, head bone, and all these bones together make the curvy backbone.
Now that is good, and now you all know how the bones fit together from head to toe. Just stand close together and do your thing. We put all the bones together again as we sing. 1, 2, say what's in your shoe?
The hip bone's connected to the shin bones. The shin bone's connected to the thigh bones. The thigh bone's connected to the hip bones. These bones gonna walk around. And the finger bone's connected to the hand bones. The hand bone's connected to the arm bones. The arm bone's connected to the shoulder bones. And all the bones connected to the head bone. These bones of the body love to walk around. These bones of the body love to jump around. These bones of the body love to dance around. We love these body bones.
We love these body bones. We love these body bones. Everyone loves body bones. Everyone, too, loves milk.
Cheeseburger, fries, and soda. Soda?
After what we have learned today?
I can't believe I said that. Milk. Make mine milk.
The cream always rises to the top. Milk gives you the power to burn. Milk.
Let's skip to this song, please.
I'm looking hot, I'm feeling good, hanging with my pals in the neighborhood. I work real hard at school each day. Now I have a chance to toss my cares away. I'm on a roll. I'm gonna show I'm a regular human dynamo. Give me milk, not soda. Gotta have my daily quota of calcium, and vitamins, You'll feel better once you learn. Milk gives you the power to burn. Milk is natural, pure energy. I'm feeling strong, I'm stepping out. I have what it takes, there is no doubt. I'll be my best, and when I'm done, there won't be any question who's number one. In every way, and every time you better believe I'm gonna shine. Give me milk, not soda. Gotta have my daily quota of calcium, and vitamins, You'll feel better once you learn. Milk gives you the power to burn. Milk is natural, pure energy.
Oh, all the shots of people holding a glass of milk and smiling at the camera.
The beverage of my choice, I say,
Milk is word.
warm it up, and it'll help you sleep, or drink an ice cold and help you vertically.
For us, stronger teeth and bones, you gotta drink your milk. Cool skin is smooth as satin and hair like silk. I'm strutting, I'm showing.
Just what I've got.
The cream always rises to the top. Give me milk, not soda. Gotta have my daily quota of calcium, and vitamins, You'll feel better once you learn. Milk gives you the power to burn. Milk is natural, pure energy.
Milk is word. Milk is bond. All right. Well, we have enjoyed sclerosis. We have enjoyed crime. Now it's time to enjoy Dome. With the Crenshaw Christian Center, Race, Religion, and Racism, Part 16. Our favorite subjects to explore in a fun. This is from the home of the Faith Dome and Ever Increasing Faith Ministries, which looks like some sort of prosperity gospel shit. So I just want to... Crenshaw Christian Center was founded by Frederick K.C. Price in 1973 with some 300 members. Now they have the Faith Dome. In the summer of 1989, the church's new sanctuary, the Faith Dome, was completed. Also on the 32-acre grounds is a school of ministry, a school of the Bible, a help summer ministry, and forthcoming a correspondence school. So I just want to check out the Faith Dome. We don't have to like fully engage with this one. I'm just curious to watch the first few minutes of it. Are you ready to enter the Faith Dome? What could be bad or controversial or unfun about a tape from 1995 and its perspectives on race and religion? Possibly the most fun, least contentious subjects. It's time for the Faith Dome.
When Dr. Frederick K.C. Price founded the Fellowship of Inner City Word of Faith Ministries, few people realized the impact it would make in the inner cities of America.
Oh.
Now, each year, hundreds of churches...
That's our old friend, the World Trade Center.
...at Crenshaw Christian Center in Los Angeles to learn how to more effectively reach our cities with the saving, healing, and delivering power of Jesus Christ. The 1997 event was more exciting than ever, and Dr. Price has made a videotape set available of that incredible conference titled, Equipping the Church to Impact Cities Through Faith and Excellence.
This is a lot of words very fast.
927-3436, or write Dr. Frederick K.C. Price, P.O. Box 90,000, Los Angeles, California, 900.
P.O. Box 90,000?
For your love gift of only $50 or more, we'll send this exciting 4-video
love gift
right away.
Oh my God.
Not only is this a rare opportunity for your own personal ministry growth,
love
but
gift.
Every church library in America should own a set. America can never be changed until we impact the inner city, and inner cities can never be changed until we discover these Bible principles.
Why is the World Trade Center the symbol of the inner city?
This will help you be more effective in ministry and help your church make a...
Lower Manhattan is not what I think of.
This 4-videotape set would easily sell for $100 or more, but through this special offer, you can order it for your love gift of only $50 or more. Equipping the church to impact cities through faith and excellence. Get this critical information from Drs. Fred and Betty Price that will transform your ministry.
It's time to go to the Wikipedia page. Frederick Price died in 2021.
Ever increasing faith. From Los Angeles, California. With pastor and teacher, Dr. Frederick K.C. Price.
I'm going to have to, I think. Jesus. The lens flare, the 3D sword, the explosion.
Ever increasing faith. From Los Angeles, California. With pastor and teacher, Dr. Frederick K.C. Price.
It's the Faith Dome.
Evidence, evidence, do you need enough evidence? Evidence, evidence, what does your life say?
Welcome to ever-increasing faith. Remember these words from the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 17. So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Praise God for another day and for another privilege and opportunity to share with you the living word of God.
What is that
On the screen is an address where you can mail your tithe offering or gift of love for the financial support of Ever Increasing Faith Television. I need your financial support in order for the program to remain on the air in your area.
Facedome.org.
Thank you now in advance for your support for now and the future. And again, I want to remind you that I appreciate so very much and thank you for your past support.
Yeah, is he afraid of getting
into
shot?
Our lesson. I am teaching
is that holy
the
body armor
of race, religion, and racism. Race, religion, and racism. Also, I have one standing rule for this series, and that is that after you have heard this message and you are desirous to write me a letter and give me a piece of your mind, either positive or negative. It is very important before I will personally read any letter and then reserve the right to read it on television. I will not read it if it does not have your full name and your mailing address on the letter.
And a love gift of at least $50.
Clandestine, and so I'm not reading any clandestine letters. So if you want to write me and expect me to read it, you have to have your name and your mailing address on it. We got a couple of interesting things here. Our website is being inundated with people since last Sunday that are hitting our site with comments about the program and the website. Everything basically has been positive because I ain't even interested in no negative stuff anyway. And nothing profitable about negativism, and you're always going to have it. Jesus had it, and you can't beat him. Amen. I mean, he's the best man that ever lived, and they said he's a wine bibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. So how am I going to have a better track record than the man? So I'm not even dealing with that. I'm only dealing with what's going to help people, and that's the positive stuff. But we received one hit or email over the internet. This is so good. Listen to this. This is from Stephen J. Michaels. And this is from New York City. I quote, "I consider myself an atheist, and I do not like television evangelists. But from time to time, I find myself listening to Reverend Frederick Casey Price just about every other Sunday morning in New York City. In fact, I have been listening to his program for a number of years. I think that your show is one of the top shows that I watch. This week's sermon on racism was one that I thought..."
If we're going to hit the bricks, we do need another tape, so let me figure that
"for you to
out.
say that you respect the KKK, not that you agree with them, in parentheses, and that you condemn the behavior of the professional Christians who claim to be righteous but are actually racist themselves. I also agree with you on that. I love the sermon, and I wish I could tell you more, but I know you are busy, and so am I. I will keep on watching your show for as long as you are on. Keep the faith, your atheist fan, Stephen J. Michaels." With friends like that, who needs enemies? And then another note was just handed me a moment ago, just before I came up, says the Horseshoe, which is our main entrance here where the information table is.
Okay, I got another tape. Let me go grab
is
it.
receiving call from people who saw the TV program this morning. They want to know how to get here. They're on their way this morning. Let's look at some historical documentation to see if there is any validity to what I have said in regard to the lie about the inferiority of the black man. If we do not know what causes our thinking patterns about other people, we can never make any corrective adjustments. Before we get into the historical documentation, I feel it necessary to address the possible criticism that may be leveled at me from some African Americans concerning why would I bring up racism.
I was gone for a minute to get a tape. Has our attitude shifted? Do we want to not hit the bricks? Has it gotten better?
And frankly, I don't mind being asked. From a book entitled The Journey of the Songhai, or Songhai, however you want to pronounce it.
All right. Well, that was the Faith Dome. You got to admit that intro was incredible. Evidence. The Crenshaw Christian Center, home of the Faith Dome. I've got a great institution. If you don't like televangelists, you might perhaps love SeaWorld. This is Shamu and You, exploring the world of fish. Enter the exciting world of fish. Shamu and SeaWorld. Shamu does not endorse this. Shamu is a whale that was held in captivity. Shamu cannot consent to this tape, but SeaWorld and Busch Gardens do in fact present Shamu and You. Exploring the world of fish. Dramatic underwater scenes, fascinating facts, wonderful songs, lively animation from Video Treasures. This is, I don't think, going to be directly about the subject of SeaWorld's keeping whales in captivity. It's going to be mostly a fun thing about fish. So let's get ready to be excited about fish. Imagine if you were a shark, a seahorse, or an eel. What would your life be like? Through songs, stories, animation, and captivating underwater footage, you'll learn the answers. Explore the mysteries, the facts, and the fun with some of the greatest creatures in the sea, such as sharks, rays, eels, seahorses, clownfish, batfish, and more. So come join in this educational and entertaining look at fish from around the world. After you experience it, fish just won't look the same anymore. So this is apparently from a series. There's also Shamu and You exploring the world of mammals, the world of reptiles, and the world of birds. From Edutainment Resources. I'm excited to see if they have a logo. And this says, be a friend. Rewind when you reach the end. Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference. Be a friend. Rewind. Give a hoot. Don't pollute. Give a hoot. Read a book. This was sent in... Oh, I think we have a Video Treasures logo, but I'll grab it just in case. There's our warning. Okay, please adjust tracking. Sure. Let's go. Please adjust tracking.
Welcome to Shamu and You, exploring the world of fish. Let's start off with Shamu asking you, what would your world be like if you were a fish?
I wish I were a fish. It would be wet, that is true.
I'd be a fish.
I'd like to be a reptile.
I'd like to be a mammal. What do you want to be?
You are a mammal!
If you were young but not a child. If you were at home living in the wild. If you were something other than you are.
Should we grab this song because it seems like a fun song? I love having it. Yeah, sorry, I got a little angry at the absurdity of that statement.
I wish I were a bird. I'd be a fish.
I'd like to be a reptile.
I'd like to be a mammal. What do you want to be?
If you were young but not a child. If you were at home living in the wild. If you were something other than you are. Just imagine, just pretend, just what your world would be. If you were over 10 feet tall. If you would stop traffic at the mall. If you were something other than you are. Just imagine.
Stopping traffic at the mall?
What your world would be. If you,
who, me? Yeah, you. That's who.
Just imagine, just pretend. Just imagine, just pretend. If you were a fish.
That was a song.
Imagine if you were a fish, what would you be? You could be funny looking or scary. There are thousands of different fish. They live in the ocean and in rivers and lakes. And in their own way, each fish is strange and beautiful.
If I was a goldfish, I get to live in a bowl with people.
Morning, Josh. We are
Probably will be friendly to me.
approaching the end of our broadcast today. We've just started, Shamu and you, exploring the world of fish.
Be different colors. I would like to be a seahorse because I could
that
swim
mullet.
through the waters and I could see all the beautiful scenery. I won't be scary looking, but I will be me.
Now presenting the fish!
Kangaroos aren't fish. They're mammals.
Oh, wait.
Here he is, the fish!
Oh, that's a...
I'm sorry, these are great. These are great. Little animations.
Oh, presenting the fish!
Kangaroos aren't fish. They're mammals.
So angry.
Here he is, the fish!
Oh, that's a bird, not a fish.
You gotta love 'em, the fish!
Lizards aren't fish either. They're reptiles.
Is there a fish in the house?
Yes, there.
Oh, legfish.
Now that's a fish. If you were a fish, you'd spend most of your time in the water. A whale lives in the ocean, so it must be a fish, right? No, whales have lungs and breathe air. They're mammals. If you were a fish, you'd breathe through gills, so you couldn't be a whale. But there's plenty of other things you could be if you were a fish.
Fish champions!
I do kind of enjoy this
Look like a champion.
this style.
But it's the champion shot of the
This is from
entire fish
1992.
world. It's the archer fish. Archer fish don't wait for a meal to come to them. They just shoot down their suppers.
It's a very like Nickelodeon
The
inspired
archerfish is a true marksman.
style
Water can distort
with all these
light
little
rays, which
bite-sized
means
fun
when
segments.
you're looking into or out of water, things aren't always where they appear to be. That can be a problem when you need perfect aim to knock down your supper. But it's no problem at all for the archerfish. He just adjusts his aim and... Archerfish squirt drops of water out of their mouths to bring down an insect. And their aim is so on target, they would make Robin Hood himself proud. The archerfish is a true fish champion.
Eels.
It's a fish. It's because it's strange because when it can disappear fast and it can peek its head out.
Well, that's right. Eels are fish too. And eels certainly are strange. You wouldn't normally
grilled
see eels swimming out in the
unagi.
open like most fish.
Delicious.
Eels usually prefer to hide in rocks and crevices, then pop their heads out to grab a meal. And an eel looks like one of the last creatures you'd want to come face to face with underwater. If you were an eel,
That is a great ghost.
what do you think it would be like?
If I was an eel and something came to attack me, I'd sting it with my electrical stinger.
You could if you were an electric eel. If anyone bothered you, they'd really be in for a shock. Electric eels can give out enough electric voltage to power 2 television sets. A moray eel can't shock you, but if you get too close, it'll lunge with its razor-sharp teeth and just hang on.
I don't like their little
There's
holes.
something mysterious and secretive about eels.
Their little neck
Could the
holes.
tails of the legendary sea serpent actually be a giant eel? Stories have been told of baby eels being caught at sea that measure over 6 feet long. If the baby is that big, then, say the stories, somewhere deep in the ocean there could be undiscovered parent eels that are over 140 feet long. Maybe there are sea serpents after all.
Fascinating. Apple II keyboard.
One of the most fascinating eels of all is the wolf eel.
Wheel.
Wolf eels may have gotten their names because they look like eels and they have canine teeth like a wolf. But unlike their canine namesakes, wolf eels can also go months without eating. Now that's a fascinating fact.
Strangest fish.
A catfish is strange because it has whiskers and it has a tail.
Well, a tail isn't too unusual for a fish, but whiskers? No wonder they're called catfish. There are lots of strange fish in the water and out of the water. This is one of the most peculiar. It's called a mudskipper. Mudskippers carry their own supply of water with them, so they can spend their time exploring on land. They're sort of like fish scuba divers. But mudskippers aren't the
This
only.
music is very Banjo-Kazooie, isn't it?
Sometimes a batfish will stop swimming and take a walk on its fins. The sargassum fish looks like a piece of seaweed until a meal is gulped down faster than we can even see. Let's slow that picture down. But some fish are too strange to be believed.
A mermaid has a tail with things that goes like this. They have long hair and when they're swimming in the water, it looks like their hair shine.
Sailors once believed they saw a really strange fish, the beautiful mermaid.
The beautiful single-breasted mermaid.
Water and they have a fin, and they're almost like us, except the fin. She's part fish and part human.
Now that's a pretty strange combination. A little too strange. What the sailors thought was a mermaid may actually have been this, the plant-eating gentle manatee.
Why is it a keyboard? I don't get it.
Talk about a fish out of water. The lungfish not only crawls out onto land, it even takes walks. While some fish can spend short periods of time on land, the lungfish can actually slither across the ground and move from pond to pond because the lungfish has gills and lungs. And even if its home pond goes dry, that's no problem for the lungfish. It'll wrap itself in a sort of cocoon of mud and can live that way for up to 4 years until the pond fills back up. Then the lungfish swims on its way. Fish have some of the funniest names. Can you guess the name of this fish? It's the butterfly fish. See if you can guess this one. It's called a sawfish. Here's another.
That's the wolffish, you idiot. You already
got
told
it.
us.
It's
oh,
the wolf eel.
I ain't paying no
Here are some
attention
more
here.
fish with funny names.
Sorry, I need that sound effect. That was a clean sound effect.
More fish with funny names.
We better talk about the blobfish. What sound does a clown make?
kinds of funny names for just about every fish under the sun. When a bunch of cows come together, we call them a herd of cattle. And when birds fly together, it's called a flock of birds. When cheetahs gather, you could call them a leap of cheetahs. But did you know that when crows get together, we call them a murder of crows? There's lots of fun names we have for
crows aren't
animals when
fish.
they gather together.
Get back to the fish.
But don't try to haggle with a gaggle of geese.
Gaggle of geese.
Inside a pride of lions, you better whisper, please.
Mean it?
Shh, not so loud. There are slithering...
What? I don't like this song, and I don't want to ever hear it again in my life, but I'm going to record it anyway.
There's lots of fun names we have for animals. You could call them a leap of cheetahs. But did you know that when crows get together, we call them a murder of crows?
I'm going to guess
There's lots of fun names
This
we
is-
have for animals when
this
they
is
gather
going to be
together.
one of the least enjoyable songs that we've heard.
With a gaggle of geese.
But I shouldn't be so negative.
Inside a pride of lions, you better whisper, please.
Mean it?
Shh, not so loud. There are slithering snakes and a bevy of bucks. And in a pond, a paddling of ducks.
Family name.
Like a cool school of fish.
Family name.
That's fun. Let's do another one.
Okay, listen to this now. Nothing could be louder than a clouder of cats.
Clouder of cats.
When charming a basket of cobra, don't play flat.
You're joking.
A bale of turtles, a covey of quail in the ocean, a pod of whales.
Family name.
Would you believe a lounging of lizards?
Family name.
I tried.
All the animals have it.
That's right. What do you call a lot of starlings?
Murmuration.
And a shoal of bass is good for a...
Flash.
Good. And a flittering flock of feathery birds.
Dissimulation.
And rhinos.
Crash.
Family names.
A shrewdness of apes.
Family names.
A gang of elk.
Family names.
A troop of kangaroo.
Family names.
More fun than a barrel of monkeys.
Family names.
A parliament of owls, old chap.
Family names.
A kindle of seals.
Family names.
A sloth. A bears.
Boy, there sure is a lot of them.
Family names.
Yeah, and ironically, I rewound to capture it, to pad out the length of the stream. That
A few days after
the whole like collective noun thing seems like such a
transformation
bizarre feature of the English language
one of the fish's eyes begins to travel
that actually is surprisingly
across
old.
the top of the
Like
fish's head.
there are books from the
Until both
1500s.
eyes are on
Like
the
here's what
same
you should
side.
call a bunch of this kind of animal.
Then the flatfish spends the rest of its days swimming and living sideways. That's a fascinating fact.
Oh, Scoops, look at him.
If you were a fish and you wanted to fly and glide underwater, you'd be a ray. Rays are related to sharks. You could say that rays are sort of like flattened sharks. Many rays have soft skin that almost feel like velvet. And some rays can grow to be over 50 feet long. If you were a ray, you'd also have a painful surprise for any fish who'd want you for a meal. Rays have venomous spines on their tails. They can whip those spines into any creature that comes too close. Rays aren't normally aggressive. They use their venom mostly to defend themselves. Here's another relative of the ray, the sawfish. The sawfish doesn't have venomous spines, but those teeth would keep anybody away from bothering a sawfish. If you were a ray, whatever ray you'd be, you'd have fins that seem like wings.
There's a world of beauty waiting to be found. When I take the time, I see mysteries alive, miracles surviving on the land and in the sea.
I like that synthy bass. Should we? Fine, we can get the song. I'm not really feeling any of these songs right now, but maybe later I will enjoy them. Maybe it'll grow on me. Where does it start? Let's say here. More padding.
When I take the time and look around, there's a world of beauty waiting to be found. When I take the time, I see mysteries alive, miracles surviving on the land and in the sea. When I take the time.
You know what? I do kind of like this song.
When I take the time, there's so much more. Life is full of new surprises to explore. Perfect by design.
I mean, it's kind of about mindfulness and appreciating the world around you.
Time and time again for me to see, for me to feel. When I take the time, if I take the time, when I take the time.
Dangerous fish.
You wouldn't think that most fish are too dangerous.
Ain't no fish gonna get one over on me.
End up being somebody else's meal. Can you name some dangerous fish?
Barracudas.
Man.
They're real long and they have sharp teeth.
Barracudas are one of the most fierce undersea creatures. In some oceans, barracudas are more feared than sharks. But not all dangerous fish live in the sea. Along rivers in South America, a small fish with a voracious appetite has become notorious. Piranha are hardly more than a foot long. But when schools of piranha get hungry, even animals the size of a horse aren't safe in the
That's a
water
dangerous
with those
fish.
ferocious fish.
The fabled psychopike.
But most dangerous fish don't go looking for trouble. The lionfish is one of the most docile fish in the ocean. And one of the most deadly.
Well, if you touch these spines, they could get you very, very sick.
That's right. Inside each of the lionfish's pretty fins is a sharp spine of painful venom. But the most venomous fish of all is the ugly stonefish. The stonefish is almost impossible to see until it's too late. The venom in the stonefish is so deadly. Anyone unlucky enough to step on a stonefish better get help fast.
Fascinating.
Sea creatures don't always hunt each other. Sometimes, two animals even team up to help each other. It's called symbiosis. Here are two odd buddies. The sea anemone has venomous tentacles that can sting to death any fish that comes close enough to touch. But the little clownfish swims in and out of those tentacles unharmed. Somehow, the two animals have made a deal. The anemone's tentacles protect the clownfish from becoming another fish's meal. And a hunter chasing after the clownfish can end up instead becoming a meal for the anemone. That's a fascinating fact.
Happy buds.
If I was a seahorse, I would swim in the water and let my tail stay curled up and let my colors stay right.
Seahorses look like they could be pieces from a chess game. But seahorses are actually fish, too. A seahorse can use its tail like a monkey would to grab hold of things, like a piece of seaweed. But how does a seahorse swim? A seahorse can use the little dorsal fin on its back to swim through the water. Although the seahorse isn't exactly ready for the Kentucky Derby. A seahorse looks so delicate, but it can do things that no other fish can do. A seahorse's eyes can move independent of each other. Very strange.
Do I want to know in what way it is gnarly?
And seahorses, it's the male that cares for the kids. A male
Maybe they'll show
seahorse
us in
has a
this tape for
pouch
kids.
Just like a kangaroo. He carries the eggs of baby seahorses in his pouch. When the eggs hatch, Papa Seahorse helps the young leave the pouch and go off on their own. But parental help stops there, and the baby seahorses swim away as fast as possible, just in case Dad gets hungry.
Oh God, another song. So many songs.
Swim, do the swim. Some use a flipper, some use a fin. It all depends on the shape you're in. Come on, swim. Do the underwater swim. It don't matter how you go or if you're fast or slow, just swim. Do the swim. Come on, everybody. I'll show you how it's done. There's all kinds of swimming, and all of them are fun. And let's start with the basics. The one that most fishes do. Make your hands a tail, move it back and forth, and it will propel you. Come on and swim. Do the fishes swim. You give a little swish, just like you were a fish, and swim. Here's another one. Now put your two hands forward, like they were a tail. Move them up and down, side to side, you're doing the killer whale. Move them up and down, to and fro. You got the steps, so now go, man, go do the killer whale. Do the killer whale. It's so easy to do. Make believe you're Shamu. Do the killer whale.
What a beautiful underwater cathedral.
Swim in the deep blue sea.
You've heard of the invisible man. Meet the invisible fish. They have outer scales that are actually transparent. You can
the birthing. Yeah. Seeing them yeeted out of his sack.
It's like having a
out of
window
his sack
pane for
hole.
skin.
It's a little off-putting.
That's a fascinating fact. If there's one fish that thrills and scares us the most, it's the shark. What exactly is a shark?
It's a fish, and it has gills, and it breathes underwater, and it has fins.
Well, yeah, that's true, but can we be a little more specific?
Sharks have
Try harder, kid.
gills so they can breathe, and they have a fin that on their back that makes them go straight. Some sharks are tiger sharks, and they got lots of teeth. Fins, large teeth. They have the biggest teeth, and they're really special.
Sharks really are special. There are over 350 kinds of sharks, and only a few of them are dangerous. Some nurse sharks look mean, but they're really not aggressive. But then there are sharks we'd only want to meet from the safety of a shark exhibit, like lemon sharks or the blue shark. And one of the weirdest sharks, the hammerhead. The last place you'd expect a shark attack would be on a peaceful river far from the sea. But the bull shark can swim in fresh water just as well as in the ocean, and has no qualms about going hundreds of miles upriver in search of food. Sharks can reach lengths of over 20 feet. And sharks are not picky eaters. Over the years, all sorts of strange things have been found inside sharks. Stories tell of one shark that had even swallowed a knight in full armor. But sharks may not be the bold ocean hunters we've always imagined. Instead of fearlessly attacking its prey, a shark may just sneak up on its victim, take a large bite, then swim away fast to safety and wait for its meal to stop struggling before it moves in to feed. But even if it's not the bravest hunter, the shark is still the most feared of all the fish in the sea. The world has so many animals, mammals,
And only some of them are fish.
birds, reptiles, and fish. Don't you wish sometimes you could be just part any other animal? If you could, what part animal would you want to be?
I know. Half mermaid and half seal. I have the head of an alligator, the body of a rabbit, the face of a dog, the ears of a cat, some legs of a lion, and a stomach of a monkey. Have arms like a kangaroo, a cheetah's body, and an elephant.
The stomach of a monkey? Is there a subculture of furries that just want, like, different internal organs?
So precocious if you part Jew and part cat. Whiskers, paws, and the lion's claws. I'm trying to imagine that. Would your family complain if you had the mane? Would you roar or purr when you sat? You'd be feline fine, you live 9 times if you're part Jew and part cat. Would you look strange if you got rear?
I'm so tired of backing up to record these songs, and I'm sure everyone else is too. But you know what? I guess we got them. We got all the other songs. We may as well
And
get
an
this one.
elephant feet.
Oh, sorry. Elephant feet. Yeah. Elephant feet. We got it.
The elephant feet.
Would you look ferocious, so precocious if you part you in part cat? Whiskers, paws, and the lion's claws.
I know, but I'm doing it anyway.
Would your family complain if you had the mane? Would you roar or purr when you sat? You'd be feline fine, you live 9 times if you part you and part cat.
Yeah, this is under the sea.
Strange if you got
Look at all these fish.
part you and part ape. Arms to knees at home in the trees, from Serengeti to the Cape. Possibilities expand with feet like hands and face that's changing shape. I have the hunches, bananas for lunch. If you part you and part ape. It's the feathers, the stripes, the spots, and the specks you got to know.
I really like these animations though.
Fins, gills, beaks, and bills. The web, the wing, and the rump.
They were probably made on an Amiga or something.
Would you look troubled in a tub full of bubbles if you part you and part a whale? We try not to stay when you come up for air. Don't rock the boat or we have to bail. For a snack, of course, we'll throw you a morsel to catch you. The day was on sale. Your feet be wet and slippery, I bet. You part you and part a whale. You part you and part. If you part you and part. If you part you and part. What, man?
Well. That was a lot. Okay, I mentioned it was Nickelodeon. It felt Nickelodeon inspired. Look at these credits. Look at those titles. Very Nickelodeon. Pretty sure that's the Clarissa Explains It All font. Oh, good. Sorry, it's a production company graphic. I'm contractually obligated to get that one. Come on now. There we go. Yeah, it was fun and relatively harmless. I wanted a quick 30-minute tapes, and that's what we got. Edutainment Resources Incorporated. No animation, no audio. You lazy bastards. Hooray. Brought to you by Video Treasures. Okay. What is this? Sorry? What's happening? Can we... What's on this tape? There's no video. We've got no video signal. What if I go double... Oh, sorry. I was momentarily confused. I was hearing audio that I thought was on the tape, but it was because I pulled up Twitch.tv and it autoplays videos. It's like, why is it playing soft jazz with no video signal? It was not, in fact, the tape that was doing that. All right. That's Shamu and you. We are preparing to raid, but there is no one to raid yet, so let's kill a little bit of time. Oh, look at Furley. That's very precious. Let's kill a little bit of time with a few random video clips. While we think about what we learned today. We had, what did we have? We had Donna. We had MS. We had Dome. We had Crime. you know, all the fun things. Frankenfurry. Oh boy.
It's a cold night to be out doing crimes like this again, but I gotta make a living. Let's have a look in there.
In the goddamn port.
Homer, you don't know where I could find an apartment, do you?
Why, sure, Joe. How about the King's Arms?
King's Arms? Where's the King's Arms?
Around the Queen's ass.
I mean, really? Really?
It's...
Take Avonex.
I think the Avonex as a whole has really been great for me because really
We got this great Mario 3 shot
level where I can still function.
with the console TV with the VCR on top. Hell yeah.
You think of the alternative. I mean, think of what could happen to you if you stop taking it. The choice is very easy to make.
Yes, you've seen it in magazines, you've read it in the newspapers. In fact, perhaps you've even seen the owner's picture. Ralph Williams, the owner of Bayshore Chrysler Plymouth, 345 El Camino Real in the city of San Bruno. You notice the big bald-headed son of a bitch? The man that came to San Francisco to offer them more for the dollar they spend. The man that came to San Francisco to rape each and every citizen in the whole San Francisco Bay Area. You don't believe it? Listen to me. I don't lie. Take a fucking car like this. A 1966 Ford, a Country Squire 9-passenger station wagon. Don't worry about the equipment. Imagine all the fun you can have in the back. And while you're doing it, imagine all the money that bald-headed prick Ralph Williams is going to be making on the car he's trying to fuck you out of. Yes, the man that'll take every dime out of the San Francisco Bay Area and spend it on prostitutes, booze, and of course crap tables in the city of Las Vegas. I'm sure
It's just a great clip.
if you'd like to
Yeah, we're doing a brief clip show before we raid.
Let Ralph Williams do it. Why not? Why not somebody else? Remember, our address is 345 El Camino Real in the city of San Bruno. But if you come from Marin County, East Bay Area, or San Jose, your money spends just as well as anybody else's. And when this bald-headed son of a bitch gets hold of you, you will spend money. Talking about payments, 5 years payments of $100 a month. You can't get even. So shop before you buy. Bayshore Chrysler Plymouth.
Oh wait, we don't need the fossil song. We need this song.
Ever increasing faith. From Los Angeles, California. With pastor and teacher, Dr. Frederick K.C. Price.
Why is he yelling at the stairs?
Welcome to ever-increasing faith. Remember these words from the book of Romans.
All right, well, that's going to be it for today's stream. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a blast. We got some good tapes. We did crime. Choose your own raid message, whatever you feel like. And I will see you next time. There's a chance I won't. You know what? I assume that I won't be doing a Saturday stream. Number one, because I think I'm going to have other stuff going on socially. And also because that will push our broadcast 100 to next Saturday. But keep an eye on the Discord for changes to those plans. Yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. I hope you have a lovely week. Enjoy the rest of it. You're at the halfway point. Keep on trucking. And I'll see you next time. If you do crimes, only do the good kind. Bye.